There's a lot of chat about imposter syndrome in the chat there. And Jason's talking about, yeah, quite common. And it's harder to talk about in current environments, and Faith there. Yeah, I was talking about her own experience of critical friendships, and actually how it sort of really put her on a slightly different trajectory. And it's someone that she's kept in touch with as well after leaving that particular institution. So it was actually her line manager. So it's an example of where that critical friendship can be, two different people with slightly different roles as well. Yeah, so a couple of things came up there. I don't know if anyone wants to jump in. I can talk about this for hours, as you know, but
I would just like to say I'm just jumping in because there's no hand
there is one hand up.
How do you raise your hand?
Yeah, I
how
don't
do you
know
do
either.
that? Oh, I'm shutting up. Peter, you go ahead. I'll find the hand raising thingy.
It's in the React. You can put a hand up there. In answer to the questions on the screen, yes, 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 and yes, I'd have thought. I think we're in the process here in University of Turkey. We're kind of looking at how we do professional development provision, which at the moment is quite kind of lecture heavy. If a guest speaker comes in, they do a session, everyone attends. And there's not really the flexibility in that for people to talk about what they need to talk about when they need to talk about it. So we're switching to a kind of peer support network with Critical Friends as one of the elements within that, so that people can basically arrange to talk to people about the things that they need to talk to. It could be kind of in reaction to an article or a presentation they're preparing or something they need to do on a computer. And I think because of the variety of stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, because of what happens in classrooms, I see a critical friendship as a hugely valuable part of CPD. And kind of personally, I think a lot of my practice is helped and supported by Avel, who is essentially a critical friend in terms of we're always kind of engaging in discussion about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I think it's very much CPD, I'd have thought.
Thank you, Peter. I don't know if you want to come back on that, Antigone or Natasha. I see we've got a couple of questions, a couple of hands raised, but if you want to come back on that.
Peter, I just wanted to ask you, is this for in-sessional EAP practitioners, or do you run pre-sessional courses? And I know it's very difficult now with data protection to keep in touch, but
in Finland, we've got a language center with something like 74 permanent staff. So it's all we do have part-time staff, but it's going to be basically full-time permanent staff across different languages working in the center.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Vicky, I think you can pop in now, and then we'll go to Sarah, who's got her hand up as well.
Okay, great. I just want to say, thank you to Adigoni and Natasha. It's been a very interesting discussion. And to be honest, I really feel that critical friends are meaningful and beneficial, but I hadn't seen it through a CPD lens until listening to this talk. And so that's brought in a very different perspective to it, and it's very helpful. And that's it. Thank you from me.
Thank you, Vicky. And Sarah?
Yeah, also, I think this has been really insightful, this talk from both speakers. So thank you very much. I think I was just wondering, definitely I agree with what Peter just said, yes, 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 yes. But I was just wondering to what extent we could bring in some of the literature into it. So in terms of your conversation or people's experience of critical friends, to what extent do you then refer back to this study says this, and that's where we got that from, and maybe reading circles play a part within that as well? I was just wondering if that had come into it at all.
You mean reading circles in critical friendships? Is this what you're talking about? Sarah, sorry.
or the
Yeah.
Venn diagram of other things that are maybe happening, sort of pulling from other aspects that
Yeah,
are taking place
that's
within
very interesting.
CPD.
Yeah, because I was recently creating a PowerPoint on reading circles, and I thought, but I haven't thought about the connection. So you're giving me something to think about. Thank you, Sarah.
I think, yeah, I'm just going to jump in there. It's interesting because I've been talking a lot about CPD and scholarship with a colleague at King's. We have kind of idea of the lattice where there's different things that are interwoven in CPD. So that idea that a critical friendship, doesn't sit in isolation, it sits as part of other kinds of CPD that you might engage in, I think are really quite interesting for us all to reflect on further.
I think sorry,
yeah, go on.
There's one of these other talks talked about, I think it was when you were talking about the study that you've done on, and reading circles was one of the kind of like easy wins or ones that you put in place. So I've actually done that since, and it's been really interesting. I've only done one session so far, but definitely that's an area which is really interesting, really useful. So thank you.
I'm conscious of time creeping towards the hour, and probably lots of you are rushing off to classes and meetings and things like that. So maybe just try and bring us slightly to a close. Before I do that, just drawing your attention in the chat for this meeting. There's a few links being popped in by Angeliki. So if you want to give us any feedback on this event, there's a link there. Just a little bit of shameless plugging of the TNSIG. You can visit our website if you want to as well. All of these talks are recorded, so including this one, you can go on there and find things on YouTube. And we're also on LinkedIn as well. And I think Angeliki might just have shared the slides, but my eyesight's so bad I can't quite see. So yeah, a few links in there for you to follow up. But I just really, really like to say a big thank you to Natasha and to Antigone.
There's also an attendance certificate for people to use in their CPD. I mean, in their evidence in their
exactly. We're all about that at the SIG. So if you want a certificate, it's not the slides; it's a certificate of attendance. If you want evidence that you've done some CPD, and we talked about articulating. How do you evidence and articulate your CPD? So sometimes you get a certificate of attendance, but yeah, that's an interesting idea that I'm thinking about for in terms of recruitment, things like that. How do you articulate the idea that critical friendship is a kind of CPD, which it definitely is. But anyway, a big thank you to Antigone and to Natasha, and imposters.
One more thing, Lindsay, about our next
I'll get this thank you out in a minute.
Sorry, on the 12th of December, we have the festive chatter.
Yes. We've got so much for you. We can't keep track of it. We've just got so many things. But I'm going to say this without getting interrupted. A big thank you, because I know from various conversations with these two colleagues that putting yourself out there and doing these kind of things is not necessarily something that you leap at and do without a little bit of support and prompting. And I'm really pleased to see it here. And I hope all of you will think about critical friendship a bit more. And just a very quick plug, and I'll put one more thing in the chat there, I think. If you're working on scholarship and research, so something sort of a concrete thing, BALEAP does have its critical friendship network, which I'm just going to pop in the chat there. But otherwise, I wish you all a very nice day, and lots of food for thought. Go and find your critical friends if you haven't already found them. Thank you very much, everybody.